Well, hello everybody on this Thursday. Thor, how are you doing? And all of your kin, and welcome to come on in. In fact, we speak to those good spirits, the ones that dig us, and we dig them. Come on in. So, welcome everyone. So good to see everyone. Yes, we're a couple minutes late, but we're not late. We were engaged in deep convo. So. Yeah, so let me turn that off because I can hear myself coming and going, and that's a frightening situation. So, hello, Mike and Cindy. How are y'all?
Hey,
Hey, our
great to
pleasure.
be back.
We so look forward. Now we don't call it Thursday, we call it Wednesday.
We call it Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It's
Yeah.
when we get to have fun and speak to our dear brother Wayne.
Yes,
Oh,
we love it.
bless y'all. I'll have to tell you. What's that one song? I want to find Christ and Wayne. So you found the Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
welcome everyone in the chat room and everyone else listening. I do this every day because I'm kind of like the Johnny Appleseed of favor. When I cross over, I got this favor thing waiting for me. And the way I do that every day is by speaking favor in your life, my life, and if you got favor, you always get that good parking spot. Or, you're waiting in line and you're dreading the fact that you have to fly economy, and then they come up to you and go, we're upgrading you to first class. But anyway, that's what favor does. And make
Yes.
sure to speak favor to your God because your God will dig it. And we've summed that up by the Jewish phrase shalom, which means nothing missing, nothing broken. That is the perfect peace the world is seeking. They just haven't figured it out yet. So, anyway, how are y'all doing again? How's your week? Has it been rainy? Has it been hot?
Oh, been a lot of chemtrails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I think it would be pretty good without them as far as the weather. No major storms. It's getting pretty hot. Yeah, we're in the deep south, so it gets hot. That's the norm. But we're feeling really good because we're in a routine now where for 2 days each week we fast. So it is definitely reaping benefits as you notice like a huge boost in clarity and energy and just overall feeling of well-being.
Hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. I know people that would give a fortune for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's true. If you have your health, you are the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah,
could just figure it out.
all the potential is there. You just have to maintain the health and body, mind, spirit. That whole it's the holistic thing.
It
Is that
is.
as we know, people can give the appearance of health, but then be missing that spiritual component, and then it's hard to really be your best self without that.
Agreed. I said yesterday in my show that I was meditating and just tripping along, the celestial highways, and I was realizing these bodies that we have and how, excuse me, don't know what that was, um, that these bodies, and I don't know who came up with it. I mean, whoever the architect is a lot smarter than me, but these are supercomputers. And it dawned on me as I was thinking about further on that, only a God has the ability to manage these supercomputers. And sometimes as gods, we don't get it right. And so these computers will tell us.
Hmm.
That's just my hypothesis. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they they tell us, and if we don't listen, they'll tell us louder and louder and
Yeah, and
louder.
it's kind of the theme, today is, the spirits are talking. It's, I guess the question is, are we listening?
Aha. And
Balls in your court.
how are you listening? And What are you getting from it? And who is speaking? So there's a lot of questions there wrapped up in that statement.
Yeah. I often, I used to be a prayer warrior, intercessory prayer warrior, and it's quite interesting because you find out, and it's all mental. I mean, the universe is mental, existence is mental, God's mental. And you find out that there is a lot of voices out there. They're all around.
Yeah. Well, we're receivers, and if we're the receivers, then who is speaking? I mean, we're just picking up energy waves. That's what we're built to do. So you have to ask yourself, where is that coming from? And a lot of people think, well, it's just simply me. No, you're the listener, you're the receiver. That means there's another essence out there. So, and there could be several. It's fun. It's fun.
When I was 16, I lived in a house with the church actually paid the bills, and they would have, ministers and others that were men that were in there. But, I was staying there because I was homeless. I was just 16. But anyway, there was a guy there, older dude at the time. And as I approached 70, I'm going, well, he was pretty young back then. But anyway, his name was Ray. And he had this natural ability that he could see and hear into the spirit realm. Um, he eventually, they had to put him into a mental hospital because it got to the point where he couldn't handle it.
Yeah. That is such a real thing. I actually went through a thing like that, and I couldn't stop the visions, and it was horrible. The doctors were doing all they could, and well, they were doing what they knew. They didn't know really what was going on, and they tried one thing after the next. And I had to go in, and even still, it was just, making me flatlined. It didn't get rid of the visions, and the visions were so horrific. They were horrible. And it wasn't until after I discovered, the miracle of certain plant medicine that I tried it once, and the visions completely stopped. It took me out of that, and it was so fast, and there was really no head change involved. So it's not like it was that kind. It wasn't. It was just, and it's something I mention to people if they're ever curious, but it stopped them completely after all of those things the doctors tried. Nothing worked but that one plant. So it was a miracle. It was a miracle. I was in bad shape. I couldn't function. So
I remember this guy. He was the same way. He was always, wow. It looked like he was weighted down. As you know, that was
it was
many
awful.
years ago. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, God bless him. I hope he's okay now, but it's a horrible feeling.
I think he committed suicide
Oh
in
my
the end.
God. Yeah,
You know.
that's sad. And unfortunately, I understand how bad they can be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not easy, being able, when you're a receiver like that, a lot of times there are beings that are always trying to get your attention, and they can drive you crazy.
yep.
So this is kind of like what Cindy goes through with myself, more sporadic, more sporadic at different times, seeing things. But I do remember we were filling up water jugs because we had to haul water out in the desert. We didn't have a well and everything. We had to literally haul it. And we're in this old West town, and I see it looked like a very real woman dressed all fancy, red dress, walking down an alley behind us. And I said to Cindy, "Did you see that woman?" And she like finished the sentence saying, "You mean one with the red dress, all dressed?" Yeah, because that was a ghost. I mean, and I saw it clear as day. For me, that's more sporadic here and there, but for Cindy, it's all the time. She could see, into the astral all the time. It can be disconcerting.
I'd
Yeah,
love to take y'all out and do an expedition, get the SLL cameras going and,
yeah.
you
I'm
know,
game. I'm game.
That would be fun. That would
I
be
think it
fun.
would be fun. I mean,
Yeah.
got the equipment. We could let others come in and join, but I know that here in Missouri they have the state penitentiary that where they used to do the death executions in the gas chamber. This case, yeah, and it would be interesting because I just have a sense that y'all are like some of the rest of us. We're these freaking beacons. I
Yeah.
mean. I've told the story to the audience here, but when I was in the ministry and really deeply into it, Lynn and I lived in Colorado, and we were at the Park Meadows Mall, and we were in Macy's where we were, and you know, shopping, and we then went into another store and what have you. There was a woman that was following us. And, Lynn said, do you see that? And I said, yeah. And eventually we came out into the middle where, everyone walks. And she came up and she said, excuse me. But she said she had been praying and she said that she had received an answer that said to her to go to this mall at this time and follow the light. And she said, when I came in, and she said, I didn't see anything. And she said, I was about to leave. And she said, I came in through Macy's. And she said, I saw this light on top of you. And
Hmm.
this light went wherever you went. And then she says, I followed you as you and your wife went out into the center part of the mall. Yeah. So, and she was needing some healing, is what she was needing. But yeah,
Wow. Somebody told her, go, go over there.
I
And
don't
that's
know if it was God
unusual.
or
Well, it's unusual, from my
say the
experience,
least.
something like that is unusual. We all have these uh energy fields. We have like a bubble around us, similar to a baby being in the womb and having the amniotic sac. When we come out of the womb, we still have what's that? It's similar to an amniotic sac, but it's just energetic. So some people carry more life and light in that than others. But if you carry a lot of light and you have trauma, what I've learned is that light can get a little extra leaky, and other beings can
Interesting.
see that light from afar. And so those that are traumatized, that's why they tend to have more attachments. But that's what I do is I go around the this light, and I bring their light back, and I put it back in their chakras, and I seal up that womb, that light womb
Yeah.
for them. So it's just some people, it expands beyond that light womb, and it's more sensed usually than seen, but still
It's
interesting.
it's frustrating. You know it exists,
Yep.
but it's like they told me I had the key and it's not working, but anyway. Mike, when you have that interaction, what are do you know the type of spirit energy? Is it because that's how I can sense it. It affects you.
You could sense, whether the intentions are benevolent, malevolent, indifferent, just curious. Yeah, definitely. You know, when I think back, there's been so many interactions that I've had throughout my life. Some stick out, and it's interesting that, like, I had a visit when I was 5 from an entity that just kind of waved to me, and coincidentally, when my son was 5, he like came running into the room one night, and it's like, what's the matter? He's like, I just saw a hand and it just waved to me, and I was like, you're kidding me. So I think whatever it was some sort of spirit guide. Which again, we all have spirit guides. We all have like angelic beings that are some, that do incarnate as humans and other entities, other ones that just simply work from the other side to kind of maintain the system, maintain the natural matrix. If you're able to see them, sometimes they'll just reach out and say hi to you. When I was 7, it was very traumatic. I took it as a nightmare. This little entity that was about 3 feet tall came from a portal in my closet and just stood by my bedside. And it just creeped me out because he was kind of dwarfish and had a big head. And it just freaked me out. And, you know, I guess maybe you might think it was some sort of gray or something, but he wasn't. He was more like what they would call an eben. And he was actually, Cindy was able to say, oh no, that was actually somebody you knew from previous lifetimes. It's been kind of a friend, so to speak, in other incarnations and when you're in 4D. So he just was basically saying hi, but he came 2 nights in a row when I was 7 and, you know, scared the crap out of me. You know, it wasn't trying to scare me, but he did. You
Did he
know,
say anything?
he didn't say anything. He just stood there, and I think he was trying to communicate telepathically, and I wasn't able to hear him.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know, I was thankful that Cindy could give me the info because I was always curious about that encounter. But yeah, I've actually had a lot of encounters, but the difference is it's not like I can always, you know, just focus and see. I mean, I can see the energy around animals, trees, things, and I could see elemental beings just by shifting into another state. But as far as like, you know, the departed and things like that, it's getting better because I'm able to tap into her antenna from
Yeah, Cindy.
being so close.
You think I keep seeing you, Cindy. He's got like this 100,000 watt antenna, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's
No, he's
bing, bing.
getting very good at tapping in. So when we work with people and we're reaching out to a loved one, he's getting hits just like I get hits, and he's actually getting more locations and more tangible things. I've noticed with his abilities, they are coming up as location. He has locational abilities. So even if he's looking in an area, let's say he's just exploring it online, I've noticed that there could be volcanic stuff come up in that area, you know.
Hmm.
So he's like drawn to it because there's some type of earthly activity or spiritual activity. So I'm watching him develop, and it's really beautiful. It's fun because he's very gifted.
Well,
Extremely.
it's fun to, yeah, and everybody's abilities, as long as we stay clear, you know, and are not having our consciousness, um, you know, lowered by, again, big FARMA and all these mind altering things, you know, low grade food and drink and things like that. Everybody's abilities are going to be just skyrocketing. That's the thing that's exciting. You know, like a Uri Geller or one of these famous psychics from the past, that's going to be just everybody in 100 years or less, because of the change of the Yugas and all the mutation that's happening in our DNA. All the stuff that they had turned off, that junk DNA, it's not junk, and they've basically left us with as little as possible intact to just function as a resource and a tool for them. But you know, they can't keep us down. And yeah, the original matrix is coming more and more online. Their dark matrix, it's got cracks that are just getting bigger and bigger. And so everybody's abilities are going to be skyrocketing. You know, develop them, test them. You know, we're going to be playing a lot more like that as we go forward. You know, you could do things like grab cards. You know, what suit am I thinking of? What, or you know, numbers. There's lots of ways we could develop our abilities if we do it in a consistent basis. You just keep getting better and better. We had a client that we had worked on once before or twice before, like in maybe a year or two ago, a couple of years ago, wanted to know something about a family member that kind of disappeared. And so, you know, Cindy was able to see the current state of that person energetically. With me, I just got heading in that direction, seeing that he went northwest, and she verified, yeah, he did go northwest. And I was picking up, you know, even specifics more on direction and locale. And it was just, that's what I was just getting. When you get stuff that comes from nowhere, pay attention to that. Like if it isn't like a logical stream of thought, really pay attention to that, because usually that is communication coming from higher self or the guides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, in your journeys, Cindy, does everybody have a spirit guide? Or is it that some have spirit guides and others don't?
Everybody has several. It just depends on how tapped in you are. What I see a lot is a lot of people's spirit guides are sidelined because they think that they can't hear them. The person thinks that they don't hear anything, but it's just a matter of listening and calming the soul and trusting yourself. So one couple of things I really like to see people do is, one, if you want to be in touch with your spirit guides, you really have to work on the healing, because like we were talking about earlier, you can get those little nasty entities that come in and feed off of your trauma. So you definitely want to work on the trauma. But if you're working on that and you're on a positive path, the other thing you can do is ask a question, and when it comes in, you want to acknowledge the the answer, whether it came through a family member, whether it came through a song. Stop calling them coincidences. Stop calling them coincidences. This is active communication. So I ask people, write it down and start proving to yourself that you can hear from them. And the more you acknowledge that, then they start flooding in, because they can say, whoa, I'm being heard. And they are just like any other entity, just like our pets. If you acknowledge your pet is trying to communicate with you, then your pet is going to do that more. If you ignore your pet, then the pet's going to stop communicating. So that's the best analogy I can give. People have several. You probably have one main that you're born with that follows you from one life to the next to the next. But as you start to communicate and as you start on your journey, if you are actively listening, they come in and they help. It's like sometimes they come in, I like to think of those revolving doors. You
Hmm.
might be going through a thing, and, great grandma Lila might want to come in and help you with that. So when you're calling on your ancestors, it's like making a phone call. You just think of them and you ask for help. If that's what you want, somebody's going to come and help. And then once you start to acknowledge the information that they give you, in even the smallest form, they will start communicating more.
Are spirit guides all formerly human?
No, no. We have a lot that are elemental in nature. You might have some that have never incarnated here on Earth. They come in all forms. You could have a particular spirit guide come through plants, through trees, through pets, and no, they've never incarnated as human.
Do we stand out in the ethereal realms because we have this thing called free will? Last week, when we were leaving out, Mike, I thought it was really interesting that this was off camera, but we were talking about dimensions, realms where free will does not exist.
Right, right.
And if you're, let's say, I see myself more as a spirit, say I got a soul, all right. That's when you sing the blues. But anyway, it's true. You know, the thing is that I do have free will. Whether it's limited or whether it's just perceived, nevertheless, it still is. And I thought about what you said, and I'm going, wow. So let's say that there are beings that have the ability, I mean, if you're no longer attached to a corporeal body, I guess you fly. I don't know. I'm assuming something's moving, traveling. But anyway, so free will. That would be really attractive to a spirit that never had it.
It also brings in more help. too. They understand the chaos of free will. Part of the reason we're in the situation that we're in is because of the chaos of free will.
So you could define, that's true. I can see that the correlation that free
Yeah.
will equates to chaos.
It does.
Well, it's losing contact. You have the ability to lose contact with the higher self. So, that's the thing. It's almost like, in so many ways, one of the best analogies is really like going in a video game. Now, can you imagine, playing a video game where you create a persona and the possibility exists for that character in the video game that you're trying to play as to all of a sudden decide, no, I'm not going to go down to the left way, and down that hall. I'm going over this way. And there you are trying to guide your character, but it's decided it's going this other way. And you're like, no, I know better. There's zombies back there or something, But that's kind of how it is here in this realm. And it does leave the door open for a lot of just chance in so many ways.
It's a masquerade ball. I mean, everybody's wearing a mask.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it's not just one mask. That's the problem. It's like in the book of Revelation, when it talks about the throne of God, the four beasts, that, no matter what perspective that you look at this thing, it changes. I mean, that's the same way I look about in this realm. The souls, the spirits that I meet, we have the masks, but and we all dance. And it's fun, because I have said hell really is boredom. As a god, the last thing that we want to be is bored.
Mhm.
That's just my perspective. But because I'm more and more convinced that we are in fact gods, whether we're from a fallen nature or not. Maybe not. Maybe that is exactly what it is this.
I would say, is it fallen? I think it's of our own volition.
Hmm.
We've chosen to experience this, this landscape, this heavy landscape. It's not our normal state of being. So this is a rare occasion. And the one thing we've always gotten from the guides is, they'll always tell us, even though our purpose is to try to wake up people to potential and what can be. And, again, the system has given so many people in this world a negative mindset as to human potential. And it's not that. We could do so much and we could explore, we could have fun. They keep saying, enjoy your human experience even as you're going about doing your work. Make sure you enjoy it because it's rare. It is a rare experience. And then the other thing that comes through, which we'll get more info on hopefully in the future, channeling from the guides, is just how rare we are because of the intense emotions that we have is actually pretty rare out there in the universe. And this was coming through in the last week, that we have been sort of designed in some ways to be like a loudspeaker, a bullhorn, compared to many of the beings out there. We can project a lot of energy by our very nature. And so, it's important that humans understand their power and capability, because it's just the opposite of what you've been sold by the system. We like you were saying, we are gods. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now it's time for us to be gods in training with the realization that we are not limited like they've given us in the mainstream religious views.
As you were talking, Mike, yeah, I recall, and because I would say the vast majority of adults who I have met have faced in their childhood very negative energy
Mhm.
and enduring it. Myself, as you were talking, I can recall the beatings that I endured and putting myself back into that child's, and I thank I got the perspective. I can actually, spatial separate it. And so it's amazing that those who survive those things and turn that negativity with the same intensity to go into a positive direction or emit a positive energy, it's quite remarkable. Because that is trauma. It's intense trauma. And when you can actually begin to see the remarkable ability of these spirits, maybe a soul, if that's what you want to call it, it's quite remarkable. I mean, it really is.
Mhm. It is. And what I see with my experience is we come from absolute perfect love, perfect, perfect, perfect love in every way. So, when we're here on earth, that's to me, that's not the goal. To me, the goal is to experience different kinds of love. I mean, messy love, cranky love, different types of love. And love for your pets, love for your family, just different kinds of love because there's so many different flavors of it. That's our truest form is perfect love. And
That would be agape.
ah, yes,
Yes.
agape.
Yes.
So I
Eros is another, and that's what I love about the Greek is that it describes love in the proper context of when you say, I love chocolate ice cream, but I love my wife, you know.
yes.
So
And
which one is it?
to speak to the trauma though, yeah, it does get difficult. And I've been through things where I've had to sit and ask, why did it have to be that hard? Why did it have to be that bad? And sometimes
What answer did you come up with?
sometimes you don't get an answer until you're ready to hear it.
Yeah.
So that was the answer I got
The
when you
trauma
first
that
said
I
you
endured,
will.
I think because I know who I am, I think I deliberately tested myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I look back on it now with quite glee in one aspect because it didn't break me.
No, no.
So if it didn't break me, all right, giddy up, you know?
Well,
Hmm.
if you think of a a jar, a candle jar, and you
Hmm.
put a light in that jar, and let's say that jar has a bunch of little cracks all around it, it's going to be so much brighter than any other jar. If you have all the little cracks, it's going to be very unique. It's going to be extra beautiful in nature too.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. It would be like we were talking, cutting a diamond.
Yeah, yeah.
And the sad part of all this too, and this is why I give thanks to that which gave me consciousness. As I look back, as when I came into this realm, because I'm approaching 25,180 days here in the next 2 weeks, but was to how many that didn't make it.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, and Mike, I can sense it in you as well, is that I don't know. Would it be a misappropriation of the meaning of the word? It's almost like we're warriors. We live for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
We came in for this time because we knew exactly what the challenges were going to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting because, like with my dad, when Cindy was able to contact my dad and got me a message, and we're talking about these times and stuff. He didn't want to be here at this point in time, and he said, "You're the one that likes that type of crazy roller coaster ride." I guess that's just part of my soul's makeup, the eternal sides. But we've had glimpses of past lives, which is a blessing, and then that can reveal a lot of your essence. I do think by the time we get well into the Bronze Age, most people will be able to access past lives and have a bigger understanding of themselves.
That's just beautiful because I gotta tell you, brother, the life that I've had, and I'll keep the language on a very kosher level, but far fucking out. I mean, it's just going to be one of these lives that, well, no matter how I look at it, in what future, what realm, or what dimension, I mean, I've had one of the most fantastic times, and it has been the most challenging. I mean, 15 years old out on the street, you know, there ain't no safety net. And, again, I'll be 70 here real soon. And I look back and I go, what a journey. I mean, far out. So,
It goes by so fast, doesn't it?
oh,
When
it
you
does.
look
It's
back, it's like, whoa,
the blink of
what
an
happened?
eye.
It's so fast. And
Yeah.
we have so many others that are helping us in this journey. Friends that did pass on before us, they are there. They're a phone call away. It's like we're in the ocean and they are in the air. So it's a little bit different way of communication and connecting, but they are definitely there. So we have the ability to strengthen that communication and that connection. And I think often about those that passed before me, and I think, whoa, we were the same age. And when that starts happening, it's like your appreciation level goes up and up and up. It's like
Yeah, dude.
still here. I am still kicking and I'm doing pretty darn good. So, I don't know. It's comforting to know that they're there. And do we voluntarily come and do it again? I think so. I'm not one who, and this might, I don't know if this will upset people or not. I don't believe in the soul traps. Not after my experience. I just don't. What I saw was so genuine and so real and so raw and so full of life. I don't believe in soul traps. I think we have the option to go right straight to wherever we want. Now, I have heard, and I do believe this, that when you do pass and you exit the body, that you should probably wait and grab your bearings, make sure you know where you're at and what's going on, before you move on. So I could see both of that, and I think people mostly fear that they might lose themselves, or they might go somewhere, or they might burn out like a candle. But that's just not the case. We are always us.
Yeah. See, I sense that, the two of you as kindred spirits. I mean, I can see people that have a certain tenacity, and I don't see death ever breaking that. If
Mhm.
conscience is in fact transmutable at the moment that the cellular decay takes place, then that same tenacity of spirit will be transmuted at the same time.
Mhm. we we get we get to be with whoever we want to be. So no, there, if you don't want separation, there is no separation. It's what you want and what you need. Some people, when they pass, they might see Jesus, Yeshua, they might see Buddha, they might see, somebody else. But it's
Their
whatever,
mom, their
their
dad.
mom, it's whatever you need is there. So we all create our own surroundings. This was one thing that I was told, is we all create exactly what we need to experience love and expansion. Period.
Mine's a beach.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
It
rest
is.
place.
Guess what? It has a pier that goes out. If many of you ever been down by Santa Monica or out there, the pier, and mine actually has an amusement park, and I can tell you off into the sand over here, it's got the tables. Yeah, it's a rather pleasant place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people create what I call as a resting place. So sometimes when I contact a loved one, I can see their surroundings, and they've created, a lot of times it is a beach. Sometimes they're out at the lake. Sometimes they've created a forest for themselves, but they're resting.
By the way, if you go out the back door, you've got this beautiful view of a mountain there,
Oh,
snow capped.
that's nice.
That sounds about perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's shalom for Wayne Steiger until he gets off into the next journey. Uh, I remember when I met Barry McGuire, and it was at one of the youth coffee houses back in the day. And he always said that, he says, when I pass on. He said, I am the space cowboy. And, and I've always remembered that you go with that kind of an attitude. I mean, there's just no doubt you got Yellowstone all over you, man. You're in for a cosmic journey. So where are you heading, Mike? I'm just curious.
I like both the mountains and the beach. I've always been a beach person, but as time has gone on, I do like the mountains too. I just like nature,
Mhm.
solitude, nature, just, watching the birds, watching the animals, or, just simply being. The beach is wonderful because of the elemental makeup, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've always been drawn to the beach. It's
For some reason, mentally, I'm connecting to you, and I'm out in Utah, like seeing the red rocks and the formations out there. Have you all ever
interesting.
visited that?
Not Utah, no. And we were talking
Nevada.
about it. For me, I think I've been to 39 states. So the ones I haven't been to are the upper tier and out west. So Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, got to make that type of trip. We were even talking, I was saying, well, we could go up, go to Missouri, see Wayne, then cut over here, then come across, go visit her family, which is mostly in Idaho and Nevada, um, and then make our way back because I'm feeling like a road trip.
You really should check out, that journey between Moab and then go up near Salt Lake City. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah,
There's it the and what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling is that you'll experience that energy. It's just that something about that area.
it's interesting that you pick up Utah because I have had visions that I see us in multiple visions, and we're heading out that direction. And I feel it's about 3 years down the road, and it's just visions that have come to me, of probably a possible timeline, and it could just simply be, again, going to see family, or there could be something else there too.
The
So
reason why the Mormon temple is there. You're
yeah,
tapped right into it, man. I'm telling you, it's there. You walk on that property.
there's a lot of Tartarian ruins out that way.
You know,
Yeah.
I have I have family that wrote a book about going to that Mormon temple and going across the United States and wagons and horses. So yeah, I have a family member that wrote a book about that. We're very my mom's side is very tied into the Mormons that settled that over there. So it was interesting.
I believe Marconi actually exists. I really do. I
Mhm.
think that whether that is a name that he has used in other incantations or encounters, I don't know. But there's no doubt the quote unquote miracles that took place as that caravan headed west was quite interesting.
Well, when we call in our ancestors for help, I think we need to be mindful. They could be very, very powerful. They might do more than what we ask them or want them to do. And what I tell people is just make sure when you're on this journey, you're the one making the decisions, because sometimes the ancestors, they can come in and they can even be overbearing even on the other side, a little pushy. They want to have the experiences. Don't let that happen. Claim your power, claim your truth. This is your turn. They had their turn. It's your turn. So
Well, as I'm sitting here as a sojourner in this life, I didn't family was never that big of a deal because it wasn't there. But turns out it may not have been so bad after all,
yeah,
huh?
yes.
Because you keep asking yourself, so what the heck does that mean on the other side? I don't know. It's one that I just find interesting because as you describe it, Mike, we're going in from one end of a cycle into another new one. Yuga, is that right?
Yep.
Yuga, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And I had this thought come to me as I was washing the dishes, in fact, that the most interesting time, precarious, definitely can be A wild card is when you're in that in between from the one cycle to the next one.
Mhm.
And uh, I think we've been in, I don't think these things are like, boom, just my personal opinion, because I can remember Kenneth Copeland saying in, gosh, I guess this was back in the 80s, that he would get into these trances, and he would start speaking in tongues, and then he would start channeling directly from Jesus or from God. And I can distinctly remember him saying that the door to the next age is opening. And in his prophecy, as he was speaking this, I'm right there in the audience right now listening to this. He said that this threshold, once we cross it, before we reach the next threshold, will be a time of great upheaval. So I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think on that?
and it may last it may last literally 300 years,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
transition period. Yeah, I think perhaps none could be more dramatic and exciting than going from a Kali Yuga to a Bronze Age, because in some ways that's the biggest change. Because the Kali Yuga is dark in the sense that there's just no real true knowledge of what's happening, how the universe works, and we start to get that knowledge. And it's all been hidden from us. And now
Why am I
we
getting
start.
Saturn in my head as you're talking? It's like, I hear the Bronze Age, I get this light, this golden. Anyway, excuse me. I just, yeah,
That well, that's interesting. See, there's this thing that's happening between us when we talk about tapping into each other's antenna, and you bring together different light workers, star seeds, soul family. Yeah, you're definitely expanding the consciousness and opening up doors. So, if we ever got to have some serious time together, I think it'd be amazing the things that would be uncovered between us.
yeah,
Uh,
I would be.
yeah.
Uh, maybe
But
the
yeah,
gods themselves say, not going to happen. No, you get these group together and, oh man, we lose all control. But
it they really do. They fight that too. They really do fight that. They don't like um, different light workers that have important functions that are really expanding and bringing this type of information between us. Ultimately to millions of people. It's like this consciousness ripple that keeps rippling out and out and out. And the people in chat, they start to ripple it out. Then the people they rippled the info to, it ripples out farther. It becomes a whole wave of consciousness that helps to usher in that new reality.
Mhm. Mhm.
so when you were talking again, I heard distinctly there is a rank and hierarchy even with light workers. You've got the generals, you've got the, colonels and et cetera down. And I guess some of us who've been through this, I don't know how many times, at some point in time, you let someone from the ranks talking millennia here, they will begin to move up the ranks, and then we move on to other dimensions where our talents are needed.
There is, I believe there is a certain organization to the awakening. So it's not, when we look to our ancestors and our guides, they understand more of what's going on. So they can see things, what we're doing from a future perspective. And our guides may change, as we grow, as we are able to see things from a different perspective. We can get new guides. So we got to keep that in mind too. Not everyone keeps the same guides. As you change in frequency, you might get more access to guides. It's very rare though that a guide is going to come in and make any kind of uh, adamant statement and actually tell you what is going to happen or what it's going to do. Because the moment they tell you what is going to happen, it is no longer your journey. They've taken
Hmm.
it away. That's like a universal no-no. So and unless there's something about it and your life is in danger and you're not in alignment, then that's where the stories we hear about other angels coming in to interrupt someone. There are times when that's allowed. And Mike and I, we did have a rather new guide show up at one point in our travels, and we went too far the wrong way, and the guide came in and he said, this is a mistake, and even though I don't believe in mistakes, this guide being new, that's the words he was able to get through, and it had to do with us going too far,
And we ended up
traveling.
paying a price for it, physically, because that was when we encountered that triangle that blasted us with
Yeah,
radiation.
yeah,
And it was wild because this was a guy that appeared as a young man in jeans and, just casual dress. And it's like he just jumped in the road in front of us, put his hand out and said, stop. Like, don't cross the Mississippi, basically. Yeah. And we did. And then, we ended up having that encounter with a big triangle military reptilians too, humans and reptilians on it, by a military base, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And it followed us for a couple miles on a road, and it was hitting us with radiation. And then we both got sick, and we ended up losing Zeke. And then, Sassy got growths from it. And I do think that Cindy developed leukemia at that point in time, and it took several years to get better. So that guy just appeared out of nowhere because
yeah.
we shouldn't have gone that far. We should have stayed west of the Mississippi.
He was actually one of our clients' guides who had just crossed over, and she heard us talking about him and describing him, and she emailed me and she said, wow, I know this other person that helps me. It was really profound. It was quite an experience. So, and unless there is an alignment issue, they're not going to jump in front and tell you what to do at all, ever. Say, if you want to know whether or not maybe your partner is cheating on you and you're not sure, so you go for a card reading or you go see a psychic. If you're getting direct answers, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's more like taking your free will. So that's how I see it anyway.
That's why I love tarot cards, because that's the way they could communicate to us without
interrupting our human experience.
Yeah, and so like a couple days ago, I did a reading, and I have 5 decks I pull from, so you're talking, like 300 cards or so, and several of them, I think there was 4 that were exactly the same as the previous day. So it was, again, emphasizing a certain message. And that tells me, that I really need to pay attention. Before one major event happened back in 2017, I got the same card like a full week in a row. And it was a warning card. So, this is how they can speak to us without really karmic consequences.
So I'm curious on this, how I look at things in the broader picture here is that I guess at some point, do we become spirit guides to others, in future incarnations of ourselves? I mean, how I look at things is like we're on a course of graduation, and there's many different inflection points of the graduation process. And for me, I've tried to reconcile this for years, is the whole idea of reincarnation, a spirit coming back again and again and again and again. And to me, if that is so self-centered, because what it says is that it's only the human experience. And I can't believe that the universe, that the existence and the other dimensional realms has anything to do with human at all. We're just a part or a piece of a much grander theater going on. but there
Right.
is a graduation process that has to take place, and maybe there is, in fact, many of those who are held back. But at some point in time, they're going to have to be, they're going to either have to graduate, or is, that then leads off into another rabbit hole.
Well, I think it's fun because once we're out of this human experience, we see that the possibilities are no longer limited by our minds. So the possibilities are endless and can go in so many different directions. But what I think is fun about our human experience now is we are the base of a very important structure. So we are the base of a pyramid, quite literally. Whatever we do affects the higher dimensions. Mm-hmm. So you bet our higher selves are up there rooting for us, to live big. I mean, do good, go big or go home. So do it.
Start speaking that favor. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the Jesus guy, he said, don't store your treasures down here, put them up there. So strap the religion out of that. The dude's telling you, hey, man, there's something else on the other side. Start planting the good stuff now. Yeah.
Definitely.
And ultimately it's transmigration. So, we can incarnate as other beings. And we've even gotten from the guides that it's possible for you to send a part of yourself to literally incarnate in as somebody's pet, if that's going to be a key. Sometimes it's overshadowing, say, a soul, if there's an important message to get through, a portion of what was last incarnating as a human consciousness can incarnate as an animal, and then can move on as well. So, like we had talked about before, when you look at a human incarnation, there's a lot of different entities involved in that. So it's really a team. Every single human has a whole team of different consciousnesses working together. And sometimes, we'll be more on the support side, as different soul or Yuan Shen in the Taoist point of view takes its turn being being the quarterback of the team, per se. We lay back and we just have a supporting role and do other things too from other densities.
Yeah. And then I look at a counter to that is all right, so you go through this thing called the human experience. Now, you may come in and only have a short period of time, and maybe that's why you'd want to come back to be able to have a longer time. But let's say that you are that percentage that begins to live longer. And I often look at it, between 25,000 and 30,000 days in this realm. That's a lot of time. And so the older you get, the more I know, I'm speaking from personal experience, the more revelations and the epiphanies start coming in. And you're seeing this. And so I had this thought this week that everything I think about of what I'm here to, the purpose, the mission, is confined to the construct of human. I know within my spirit that there are other experiences that I'm going to go to that has nothing to do with the human experience at all. And for me to come back and continue to relive the human experience, I don't know what that purpose eventually becomes, because I can take from whatever yet I cannot conceive, because I can't think beyond human, um, what that would entail. But if infinity exists, and the infinite possibilities of potentialities, and whether it is in 12 dimensions, whether it's in 1200 dimensions, I have a sense that that's where the adventure goes to the next one. I could be wrong, but it's just that's why we have coffee and we sit around and we talk.
I do think that there's something about how many times we come back and fulfilling what we set out to accomplish and our karma that we may need to fulfill. So I have a feeling that if as a soul you are designing your experience, so you come here on earth and here's your first round, you might screw up a bunch of stuff, but you go out and you
It's
come back.
inevitable, isn't it?
Yes, you come back and you start working on those things that you made mistakes on, and you start trying to resolve that karma. Well, let's say you make more karma, bad, good, whatever. So you go out, you come back, and let's start working on that karma. This is what I find so fun about the past life charts in Vedic astrology, because you can see that. You can see, okay, this person brought their education in, because you can see they're highly educated and they've gone to every school on the planet. Well, they brought their past ability to study and learn to help them with this life. And maybe that education is what is going to help them clear up that karma so that maybe they can go to another planet. So that could be some of what's going on possibly. And your case was very interesting because it was a lot about how you left this realm is very important, and your abilities that you have now. So I thought that was curious, you know.
We'll have to talk more on that.
Yes,
It's like,
you sure will.
but it shows, right? That's
It
what you're
does.
saying.
It shows, as far as being on your path and you doing what you're supposed to do and tying up karmic ends and fulfilling your goals, I see you just got one big old A plus.
You know, when I was in first grade, I loved getting that gold star.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I don't know if y'all had that same experience, but for me, first grade was 1960. But yeah, it was getting that gold star. It's like,
I
yeah.
counted mine. It's like, hey, I got 5.
Well, thank you, Cindy, because that, the proverb says a word spoken at the right time, how sweet it is to the soul, and so that is, yeah. We do a lot of time travel in these convos, we're talking about here, because I don't know about y'all, but it's like, it's on one of those tilt-a-whirls. It's like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, it's fun. And then you get into the whole concepts, or maybe it's more of a understanding, because I don't see a lot of people really discuss co-incarnations as well. Because,
Yeah.
there is. I'm totally convinced that there are co-incarnations, and I do think that we can, through meditation or sometimes just in sleep, literally join with somebody that's part of the same higher self at a different location, maybe even off planet, and get some of these. Oh, that was a wild dream. But was it, or were you actually, moving and merging in temporarily with this other consciousness that's having another incarnation at the same time, but is ultimately from the higher self?
That brings up a whole lot of things because, if we are switching time, as they say, the White House said that they have now a machine that can manipulate space-time. So if the timelines have been altered and now we find ourselves in a constant change of that, that directly implies then that there's multiple of us.
Mhm.
Now, I can recall distinctly something that happened a number of years ago, and I was really mad because I knew that it was not supposed to be this way.
Mhm.
And Lynn saw the anger that was in me, but as I look at it now, and I was convinced that this was not the right, I was not in the timeline I was in prior.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But then that would imply that there would be this whole cause and effect that when every person I met would then be impacted that as well. What do y'all think? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know where time went, but anyway.
I know. And there's that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, Mandela effect, there's parallel realities. How many? Ooh, is it infinite? I mean, how many parallel realities are going on at the same time? can we shift ultimately to whatever it is we truly, desire the most, and that is in alignment with the higher selves and purpose. That's so key, because again, that's part of that free will thing, because once we get in here, we might end up developing goals that are not congruous with the higher self. And I think that happens all the time.
That blows my mind that there is a consciousness that is so far superior in its complexity that even, let's say, we're shifting times, like the Project Looking Glass, that, supposedly that, military has this device. And yet the safety line that I see is that I'm still attached to that. May not understand it, may not comprehend how it works. I just sense that it is. So let us hope that that is the case.
I also think it's a big part of what do we need to grow and bring us understanding,
Yeah.
so do we need to think outside the realms of what we know to be true to make something come to our understanding so we get it, so that we were able to grow and have that epiphany. So we always get what we need. We might not get what we want, but we always get what we need.
And Cindy, as you were talking about that, then the thought came into my mind that, so are we merely acting out fate? Is this our destiny? And does that then become altered when a person says, no, I'm not going to continue with the path that I see this as going, and they make major decisions that then alter that path?
Mm-hmm. Destiny is a thing. So astrologically speaking, we are born with a destiny, our star map, and it shows our destiny. And astrologically speaking, we do not have control of that. However, what we do have control over is the road that we take to get there, the vehicle we take to get there, the decisions that we make to get there. So we do have a lot of control about how we reach our destiny.
Well, you can see me in my hovercraft. Screw the traffic, man.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. I love y'all. This is it really is quite fun, and I apologize because we went over, but
Today went fast. I was shocked. I looked over and it was, 30
I did
minutes
too.
after, and now it's like after one. Oh my gosh. It's time warping. We're changing time,
See? See?
you know?
And yet there the spirits and the source, whatever it may be, yeah. Yeah, it's still there. Man,
So,
that's far.
yeah, I want to remind everyone, don't allow your guides and angels to be sidelined. Definitely call them in, wake them up, tell them we got work to do.
I have to expound on that just because that is what I often say that my 50 years in Christianity was my initiation period into the arts. Um, and so one of the things that I was distinctly taught was that most people go through this life never realizing that they have legions
Yeah.
of angels assigned to them ready to do their bidding, and
Yeah,
that the vast majority of people, they will live and die never putting one single spirit to work.
right. Mm-hmm.
I'm just warning you, you're going to have to answer for that on the other side because you've just been made informed that you now have them. Now the question is, what are you going to do with them?
Right, right. And sometimes I've noticed people have a very interesting kind of devilish energy that might kind of follow them around, and it is up to you to control that devilish energy. So I do see those too. I'm referring to a demon. Some people like literally have a demon, and it is under their control, and it is up to you to control that little stinker. So
I'll just admit this, before the public. In my youth, I did put spirits that, because I loved women. And I found that there is you can have an advantage. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
does work, folks. No, it doesn't. No, don't even go there. Yeah.
Be good. Be good.
Be good. Remember that karma thing, man.
Yes, the karma lesson. Oh gosh.
All right, so Mike, take us out on this. Tell people where they can find you. I know this will be reposted later on the channel, so let people know where they can find you and support these good people because y'all are really groovy. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, Wayne. You could reach us Evolutionary Energy Arts at Gmail if you need to make an appointment or you have any more information that you're looking for. We have Evolutionary Energy Arts, so that's 8 years old, that channel. And then we have EE Arts. That was the backup channel when they were getting close to taking Evolutionary off. So that channel is 6 years old now. And then we have HeartZone with two E's, HEEARTS, OMMM, which I was thinking as more of only meditations, mantra, music, like just more of a spiritual uplifting side that we don't touch news. We just go more completely spiritual, high vibe. And then the website, evolutionaryenergyarts.com. And that has a lot of interesting links and more information on us as we're not always the best about keeping our website updated, but we have a wonderful elf who is helping, and her name is Ellie. And so she's been a blessing to us. And so she's updated it for us and, more things coming on there. So you can check out testimonials from people that we've worked on as we've done energy work, spiritual coaching, counseling, and Vedic astrology charts on thousands of people all around every continent but Antarctica.
Past life charts, biofield tuning, you name it. We kind of customize it for people. It's whatever they need. We do.
And I'll just say this, if you've never had a chart done, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you find out stuff about yourself that you're going, I never knew that, but yeah, I see that, and so think about it. Uh, Before you pass out of this realm, the thing that I see, Cindy, with having a chart done, it's like they're giving you a map.
Mm-hmm.
It's so helpful. The
It
first time
is.
when I had mine done, it was like breaking a spell. It was me against the universe. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. And, she said one thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, it just burst the bubble of everything. And I had so much clarity and understanding. And then I thought, I need to do more of this. So it became a heartfelt passion, and I do a couple different ways. I have the traditional schooling, but I also tap into the person's planet so we get the information that we need, and I can look into past life, and it's just it became a passion because it helped me so much to guide me in this life. Then I knew my weaknesses, I know my strong points, I know you just weren't supposed to do that, girl. That's not part of your makeup. So stop. And once I stopped, like the world opened up. It was
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah.
I think we're like the guides have spoken of us as being like rehabilitation specialists and including a spiritual aspect because I think between the two of us, we have a lot of different unique assets that we're able to pull together. So both from the more spiritual side of things, the left brain side, the right brain side, we're both Reiki master teachers, but also we've studied pranic healing. I've studied medical Qigong, practiced Qigong for 35 years. Everything from polarity therapy. I've been a massage therapist, a personal trainer. I've studied sports nutrition. So I've gone down the physical side as well as the spiritual side. So, it's like we could usually help with just about like any aspect. And I guess it's the desire to bring that help and knowledge holistically. Again, mind, body, spirit. It's all three. So not just getting, the point of view of somebody that maybe is intuitive, or that somebody that has studied just astrology. There's a lot of different things that we pull from, and it's very, very holistic.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And I'll just encourage you. It helps. If you're struggling in some areas, give them a call. Send them an
Thanks,
email.
Wayne. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Wayne.
everybody. Thanks
Oh,
for the positivity and the chat. Thanks, Wayne. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
well, thank y'all. And thank you, chat room. It's these are cool people in the chat room. Y'all are just lovely people. You show the love, and I like that, It's unconditional. So thank you so much. And we just speak favor over all of us. Mike and Cindy, see you next week.
You will.
All right.
Absolutely.
And I love these conversations. It's like, what was that soap opera back in the day? As the World Turns,
Yep.
Yes.
So, all right, everybody. Much love. See y'all next. Well, we'll see this meeting next Thursday. I'll try to be on tomorrow as well. All right, everybody. Thank you, and remember to smile, please.